Didn't see you there. Welcome back to the Single Man Chef. My name is Grant Patterson, and today we're going to be cooking fish. Specifically, one of my favorite fish to cook, sockeye salmon. But before we get into that, I'm going to address what's happened since I put my my YouTube videos out there. Mostly been very nice. Most people have had very nice things to say. I've gotten some feedback, such as don't shoot vertical, shoot horizontal. So now I'm going to go with this. Thank you. My wife suggested that I wear a different shirt for every video. Interesting, so that people will know that each succeeding video is not one they've seen before. Okay. That might mean more wardrobe changes than Lady Gaga. I don't know if I own that many shirts, but maybe we'll give it a try. And my nephew in Brazil had something very interesting to say. He suggested basically less me, more food. So I'm not sure Santa Claus is going to be very kind to that kid this year, but I'll take it under advisement. One of the most interesting things that I heard was a comment from a friend of mine who I'm sure was just breaking my balls, but it was interesting anyways. He said, what are you doing with a jar of sauce that you just pulled out of the fridge? I guess referring to my spaghetti videos. Well, okay, all right, hot shot. The point of these videos is not to show what a great cook I am, okay? There's 100,000 people just on YouTube alone who I'm sure could outdo me in that department. The point is to show how you can become an adequate cook, even if you don't think you know how to do anything beyond pressing start on the microwave, all right? So the way that I think is the best way to do that is to start off with what I call hybrid cooking, okay? You're combining fresh ingredients with store-bought stuff, right? Like a can of tomato sauce, which in actual fact is often the way a lot of families in Italy do it too. Because they, like us, are busy, they don't have a lot of time, so they're forced to do what I call hybrid cooking as well. Jazz it up with some of their own touches, use some fresh vegetables and some spices, but sometimes you have to fall back on some of that stuff. So that's where I wanted to start things off simply. I do, Lyle, know how to make a pomodoro sauce from scratch, so now I'm gonna have to do that video in the near future just to show you what can be done. And I believe you also mentioned ragu. I know how to do that too, so we'll get there, buddy, don't worry. But anyways, enough about my fragile ego. This conversation over tomato sauce brings me to the topic of authenticity, which is a word I really, really hate. Authenticity is one of those things that we're going into a little bit of a tizzy over these days. Kind of like cultural appropriation, right? Like you're not allowed to wear a sombrero on Halloween unless your name is Martinez. Well, okay. And that carries over into food too, right? So my Italian sauce isn't Italian if it has some store-bought ingredients in it. Well, okay. Just wait until I get to my catch-all fajita sauce that I'm going to be making later on. You can use it on tacos, you can use it on salads, but is it authentically Mexican? No. It's not even authentically Tex-Mex, okay? But who cares? I think it tastes good. You probably would think that it tastes good. But if a bunch of Mexican people were coming over to dinner, would I make them my fantastic Mexican food? No, I'd be stupid if I did that, right? Because my grandmother, is not from Oaxaca, okay? I didn't learn how to make mole and all this cool stuff. My grandmothers were British, and as a result, all the cooking lessons I learned were negative ones. I don't use any of their recipes because their cooking sucked. Sorry. So what do we do? Do we worry about authenticity or do what I think is the best? Worry about whether or not it tastes good. Have you ever seen the show Chef's Table? I love this show, the one on Netflix that follows all these hotshot chefs around, and you hear their life story and their inspirations, and you get some beautiful video of their food. Love this show. But as I'm watching it, I started realizing that there are very few of these chefs that I would actually open my wallet for or stand in line for to have their food. As a matter of fact, out of all the chefs that were on this show, there's only 3 that stand out to me as, you know what, I would line up for this person's food. And that's Francis Mallmann, the Argentinian grill master, Ivan, what's his last name? Ivan Orkin, the Ivan ramen guy, the New Yorker who went over to Japan and had the Japanese lining up to eat his ramen. That's quite an accomplishment, and since I love ramen too, I would probably line up for it as well. And Nancy Silverton. Nancy Silverton has come out of this sort of California hotshot chef scene, but now basically what she does is salads, pizzas, pastas, and breads. And that's it. That's comfort food by definition, so I would line up to eat her food too. Some of the chefs on Chef's Table don't seem to care a heck of a lot whether or not people actually find their food enjoyable, which really puzzles me. I don't know why that would be. There was even one guy in the 3rd season, a Peruvian guy, who said, I don't care if it tastes good or not. Well, for $500 a plate, I would care. I don't really care about your high concept and the story you're trying to tell. If the food sucks, it sucks, and I'm going to feel ripped off. So in my mind, more important than authenticity is that it tastes good. And that's really the whole point of this. I'm not Mr. Authentic. I'm not a professional chef. I just want to show you how to cook some stuff that tastes good. And then, you know what, if your guests come over and they wonder if it's authentic or not, they don't need to know. Don't show them this video. Okay, in our next lesson, we're going to start cooking salmon. And I'm going to show you how not to screw it up. It's very simple. Ciao.